We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We got some draft talk tonight, man. You know, throughout the week, we try to balance it with Cowboys and draft and all this kind of stuff. But Friday, I don't want to hear none of your mouth, all right? I don't want to hear you say nothing. You feel me? We are going all draft today. And every week, we're going to pick 4 players that we haven't talked about during the week. We'll sprinkle in some guys during the week. But on Fridays, we're going to make sure that we get 4 of them to you. And we got 2 edge guys, a defensive tackle, and a corner. Bryan, let me get started, man. I want to start with JT Tuimoloau. I want to start off with him. JT Tuimoloau, defensive end, Ohio State.
Yes, sir.
So I'll tell you what I like about the player. I feel like if you're going to play defensive line or offensive line, and this is something you're going to hear me say a lot, I just want you to be strong. Okay?
Yeah.
I want a baseline of strength. I want a baseline of getting off the ball, and I want effort. I can work everything else around that. You know what I mean? I can work on putting weight on you. I can do all this other kind of stuff, right? If you got those basic things, we good to go.
Yeah.
I like how no-nonsense JT Tuimoloau is, boy. He comes off the line of scrimmage, and he's consistent with his, right? You know, we can talk about players that got strong hands, that got pop in their hands. I like how consistent he is with pop in his hands. He seems like an old, wily veteran, but it makes sense because it feels like I've been watching for about 5 years. Every year we watch a new offensive tackle, I'm watching JT Tuimoloau put hands on people. I've watched him whoop Penn State 3 years in a row. I've watched him whoop big-time competition, these big Michigan games. That means a lot to me, Brian Broaddus.
Yeah.
Something I noticed about JT Tuimoloau, I think he gets better as the game goes on, Brian Broaddus. I think he'll start off and kind of find his way. And I think he's a run defender by default. And that's kind of how the game will start. But, man, I feel like towards the end of these games, I think Tuimoloau start to wreck some of these games for these guys, Brian, with power. He may not have a rush plan. I don't think he puts it all together technically like that, but he's consistent with his strike, and he's relentless. So if he's not thinking about, stopping the run, then of course his pass rush, that's how he'll win it or whatever, right? So the only kind of issue I have about Tuimoloau, I don't think he's kind of in this early first round conversation like that. I wouldn't kind of look at him like that. I would look at him as a, like if he's an early second dude, like a late first guy, that makes a little more sense to me. Me and you're gonna keep watching players and we'll know. But besides that, like physical, like his build, he may not be a spectacular looking player. You know how we look at Michael Williams from Georgia and we go, that's a spectacular looking player.
Yeah.
Tuimoloau is not a spectacular built looking player. He's like 259, 260 or so. But just the actual ball playing and the technique of the guy, I like the player, Brian Broaddus. What you think of JT Tuimoloau?
Yeah, I tell you what, I think you've got this player right. And the thing that I really appreciate about him is how smart he is as a player. He's a guy you're not going to fool. This guy, he's played, as you mentioned, in a ton of big games. There's nothing really flashy about the way he plays. He's very steady. He's very methodical the way he goes about his job. He'll stand up. He'll put his hand down. I kind of felt like, he was playing one end. He was playing the right end, and you kind of feel like that he had his left hand down, and I'm thinking that's kind of weird look. Usually if you play like the right side, you put your right hand down, kind of, that kind of thing. But he's one of those guys too that is really, really, really good, I think, against the run. When you try to run at him, he is an extend, and he's a find the ball, get rid of guy, and he can knife inside. He's got some of those Tank Lawrence kind of traits where you see him play, maybe not the initial quickness of what Tank is, but he's got that ability to play the run where he plays with leverage, and then you could see him play as that crash end, especially against somebody like Penn State, as you mentioned, who is going to RPO you. That quarterback is going to, and so assignment is he's crash end, and they got a guy over the top. So crash over the top, crash over, and he is really, really good at when he takes that inside charge, much like what we used to see with Tank, and Tank would do it to take a chance.
Yeah.
Tank would be like, it's 3rd and 1, and I'm just going to knife inside, and I'm going to jump the count because I got a little bit of a rhythm, a little cadence of how you're playing the snap count. And JT does a really good job of like playing those plays where he's knifing inside or he's crashing inside and, taking his assignment and allowing the teammates around him to have success. You're right about the pass rush plan. I don't think there's that ability to really get to the edge and then, sharpen it. We've seen some guys, and even the Texas A&M kids, Stewart and Scourton. We've seen them. They're not the sharpest when it comes to, now
they're like big guys, big power.
Yeah, they're
guys.
like big guys, and that's the thing about it. And we've seen guys like I say, our kid from Tennessee,
James Pierce.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, James Pierce. James Pierce is like an explosive around the edge kind of guy, and so it's a little bit of a funny group because the A&M kids, 285, 290, and JT's 269 is the weight that we're working on with right now. But I mean, I've seen him because I've seen the guy slide down inside, make plays. I've seen him play outside and make plays. I've seen him stand up. I mentioned that. I've seen him, put his hand on the ground. I think he looks comfortable either way. I think he's got a really, really high IQ, as I said, that good instincts. I mean, he'll use his hands, his length. He keeps blockers off him, but the pass rush stuff keeps coming back to me, and I just don't see the quickness to really, really challenge blockers off the edge, but there'll be some struggle with that pad level. We always talk about the bend. Maybe there's a little bit upright play in his game. And there, you'll see pass rushes where he is too tall. He's way too tall. He's not getting the shoulder down. He's not attacking. And, just that lack of a burst. He doesn't have – it's not elite burst. And again, I mentioned Pierce and others. Those really, really, really good pass rushers have that burst. And he doesn't have that. Effort, motor are really good. And you can win with players like this.
Sure.
You can win with guys like this when you're 6'5", 268, veteran guy, high IQ, played a lot of snaps, play the run well. We kind of thought I kind of thought the same thing with Nealon a little bit. If you look at Marshawn Nealon a little bit, I didn't think that Nealon was a great pass rusher or anything like that. I kind of felt like that, it was going to have to get a little bit better for him to be a, he kind of figured some things out, as a pass rusher. So I was pretty, kind of seeing the same thing every time I think, well, this guy's just a run defender. No, Nealon has kind of developed into, from what I've seen before he got hurt, he was developing as a pass rusher for you. So, maybe TJ has some of that in him, but veteran guy, played in a lot of big time games, tough against the run, got size, got length, just doesn't have the pass rush right now.
Where do you draft him?
I think you got him. I think that someone obviously is going to take him at the back end of the first. He could very well slide into the second round, depending on the number of the guys that go ahead of him. I kind of feel like he's in that range somewhere, maybe, 25, 26, something like that, maybe into the second round. But I think where he should start is somewhere right around 25 or 26 just right now.
I don't think he's going to test really well. So I think that's going to drop him down a little bit. He's more of a football player than an actual tester. But Bryan, let me ask you this. Would you rather, not what the league is going to say.
Yeah.
JT Tuimoloau edge from Ohio State or Michael Williams edge from Georgia?
I think there's probably more upside with the rush with Williams than there is with TJ.
Now, I think this is really important because
I do too. And I see what you're doing here because I think people and the guys, you're really talking about both of these guys. TJ 6'5", 269. Williams right now we're working on 6'5", 265. And they're both good run defenders, but I kind of feel like that maybe this guy, I think Williams might be a guy that has a little bit more quickness off the snap, and that would maybe get him to the shoulder. But man, he does. Williams will get stuck on pass blockers.
Yeah,
he'll get stuck. But I see Williams from Georgia get used as in the twist game, the movement game. I've also seen times where he was the free rusher and he just couldn't get there. But I just feel like both these guys really need to have that ability to get around the corner, and they really don't right now. And I would think just Williams because of a little bit more quickness. That's the only thing I could say. Williams, they both kind of rush, like TJ's too high. Williams goes down the middle when they rush. And then, and then he tries to react from there. That's a tough one, but I would just go maybe Williams a little bit more on the size, but I could see TJ being really good and developing pass rush moves. I could see him. Maybe I'm looking at Mikael Williams and thinking, well, he's got quickness. He could do this. They're kind of the same player. They really are. Just one has played a lot more football, I think. And that would be the Ohio State kid. Do you have a thought on that?
Brian, I'm one of your draft grandchildren. You don't even know this.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be a coward back in the day, Brian. A long time ago, I used to be a coward.
Yeah, I can't be a coward when you get on that draft show. You'll get eaten alive.
My career has gone much better since I stopped being a coward a couple years ago.
Don't be a coward.
I'm not feeling this Michael Williams character, Brian.
I could totally understand that too. You asked me which one, and I tried to answer, and I hated every bit of what I like the players. I think they're both deficient in the pass rush area. And I think just one guy is a little bit quicker, and that's a terrible reason to take one over the other.
I know what I'm getting from Tuimoloau.
You're getting a really consistent down after down after down player.
I know exactly what I'm getting from Tuimoloau. And you said Michael Williams is a good run defender. This is where I would push back against you slightly. I think his athletic ability allows him to whoop people.
Yeah.
And that puts him around the football, which is cool. I think JT Tuimoloau, when he sees counter, crashing the counter. When I see a down block, I'm crossing face. When I see a reach block, I'm fighting outside. When I see a base block, I'm dropping my butt. He knows he's a nuanced guy.
Yep.
Tuimoloau here. And I think when people are looking at Williams from Georgia, I think they're banking on the upside.
They're thinking that in that big body, there is going to be more that gets out of it.
The type of scout I am, Brian, I'm not an upside banker.
You're not. I
want the cash money in my hand. I'm not an upside banker. I know exactly what JT Tuimoloau is, Brian. If it's up to me, and look, I know for sure because it's a big difference. Williams will get drafted higher, but in my own personal opinion, I think Tuimoloau is a better football player than Michael Williams, and I think you can insert Tuimoloau into any lineup right now, and I think he will produce better and sooner than Michael Williams. And damn, I think Tuimoloau didn't showed it versus competition. He's played in these big games. Michael Williams ain't got a sack this year, do he?
No.
And Tuimoloau ain't even sack guy, and he at least got a couple of them. You know what I mean? So I'm taking Tuimoloau, man. And I don't even think like I said earlier, he's still like a second, late first round guy to me. I'm taking Tuimoloau.
See, I think that some of the media scouts initially, and I say media scouts. Let me just say, I think Dane Brugler has Mikel Williams too high. I think he has him too high. If you're talking about him as the, what do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You got him as the 10th best player, 9th best player. I think that's high, man. I think that's really, really high. I think that he's more down by where JT is than where he is up top. I would have a problem. I would have a problem taking Williams in the top 10 if it was me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would say this is where the scout in me gets in trouble, because you're right about the traits. And why would you say you were a coward? Why would you think you were a coward on that one? That was a pretty damn good reason why you gave why one would be the other. You're looking at the player that's the steady one. Sure. The one that you're looking in the first round, you're trying to look and not make mistakes.
Yeah.
Who is, to me, JT is like a safe player.
Sure.
Is a very, very safe first round pick.
Yeah.
Plays a lot of snaps. It gives you everything he has some ability, doesn't miss games.
Yeah.
Perfect player.
So when I say coward, I'm coming from, we're looking at Dane Brugler's list, and Brugler got him as a top 10 guy.
I would argue with Dane on that one. And
if
when we
I
have
come
Dane,
out and say, Michael Williams is on Dane's top 5, I'll take Williams first, I would be a coward for saying that. I like JT Tuimoloau more. Neither one of them are high first round guys for me, but I'll take Tuimoloau more.
Yeah, I couldn't in good conscience. He's the one guy in that top 10 that I have issues with Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan.
Yes, sir.
I have some issues there. I think I could be way, way wrong. We're very early in this process.
You got time.
I'd like to see some more stuff, but for him to be like Dane's second guy,
sure.
Boy, that one right there, kind of that was a Mike Tyson 1990 right cross.
Yeah,
that caught me right in the face.
A little half.
I think he's got some air pumped up in a couple of these guys. Mm-hmm. I really, really do, just off the jump.
Sure.
And I think Williams, the edge from Georgia, is one of those guys, along with Johnson, the corner from Michigan.
Sure.
I think there's some air pumped in those guys.
Sure. And maybe it's just it's early, and Dane's next list, these guys will drop down 20 points. That's just how it goes.
I'll be interested to see once what happens is media scouts start with the names way, way, way up, and then all of a sudden you go to the Senior Bowl, the East-West game, and you start talking to the NFL scouts, and the next thing you know, you're like thinking, well, we have this guy here. You try not to just run your grades up and down the board, but you'll hear some things that you're like, that makes sense. That makes sense. I remember Mike Mayock, he used to do the NFL Network, and then he went on to be the general manager. Mike would always have like 5 names, and he'd have a name, and he'd have a name, he'd have a name. He'd be running those 5 names by position, top 5 by position. And then the next thing you know, a month before the draft, that guy he'd be running the whole time is off the list.
Yeah.
Because what happens is he got influenced by the scouts telling him, Mike, you got that guy too high. Yeah. You got that guy too high. Yeah. So I would rather have a player lower and be able to move him up the board than I would have him way up at the top and just free fall that thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Just to fix something I said earlier, Michael Williams got 2 sacks versus Texas. But that's it. No. And look, even those sacks were like, I stumbled into those sacks. I mean, everybody got a stumbled into them sack. But
I thought that Jalen Walker, the linebacker, played a little bit. Maybe that might be a guy to you that's a little bit higher that Dane has up in that upper level.
Yeah.
That probably doesn't need to be maybe that high either.
I'm not as high on Walker as Dane is, but I'm higher on Walker than I am Williams.
I think Williams is the one that I think Williams is closer to JT than I am than to where he is right now on Dane's initial list. Yeah.
Quick detour. Let me just ask you this.
Sure.
Defensive end James Pierce from Tennessee or linebacker Jalen Walker from Georgia? Which one's higher for you?
Wow. I think to me, the explosiveness of Pierce is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a really, really twitched up guy. I'm not going to lie. A blind spot for me in drafting are these 6'5", 240-pound guys.
Yeah. Kind of small, but they get sacks. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Will that weight translate, stuff like that? Yeah.
Yeah, but this kid plays a lot stronger than where I would. I think Pierce is a really good pass rusher, and he'll surprise you with his power.
Yeah.
And I've seen him rush down the middle blockers and walk bigger guys back. I've seen that. I've seen really good instincts. I've seen awareness as a pass rusher. I mean, he'll rush from a 2-point stance or hand on the ground. He's really good in the twist game. You put him on the move, he could be a real problem to deal with. He can close. I mean, you watch him. The same thing I kind of think of Walker.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that Walker's one of these guys that when you watch him play, he can really, really close. And, you know, I saw athletic ability. I saw him at 6'2", 245, his ability to move, the effort, the motor, the knack for getting to the quarterback. I mean, again, Texas, Kentucky, those are the games I watched. Probably going to get a lot more games here, Georgia coming down the pike. But I think to me, I think that I just like the physical makeup. And here are two guys that are really kind of the same weight, if you think about it. But man, I'll tell you what, I think Walker's got that first step explosiveness, and Pierce is fast too. Yeah. But I saw the change of direction with Walker. I saw the leverage. I saw the relentless play. You know, there's just that suddenness to his game. Yeah. And the closing that ground in a hurry. I think that he doesn't wait around to make plays, and that's what I really liked about him. Sure. So I think I would have Walker over Pierce on my board.
I would take Pierce over Walker, but that's just my own personal opinion.
No, that's fine. What do you got on him?
So we already went over Pierce. You know, we just kind of you know, but you know, just me. I just value the pass rush, and I value like the dude that gets sacks. Like if you're a dude in college that gets sacks, you're likely going to be a dude in the league.
No question.
That gets sacks, and he has good length, and I kind of have a plan for him right now. I think if you look at Walker, they're doing the Micah Parsons thing with him right now. And he could kind of either be both or whatever. I like him a little more now than I did at first after watching the Texas game, but I didn't like his Clemson game. And there was another little game I didn't like. Maybe it was Alabama or something, but like Milroe was running all over everybody. But I'm still taking Pierce from Tennessee.
You know what? These A&M guys are giving me some trouble. Where would you put the A&M guys in relation to like where the edges? Where do those guys look more like tackles than they do edges?
So Scourton does look like a big defensive end to me. But
he's 6'5", 285.
Yeah. I got him more of like in the 15s or 20s.
Okay.
I don't think Shamar Stewart. I don't think he's good.
Yeah,
he's a good moving big dude, but I don't think he understands like you know the role or whatever. Yeah. So he's like a 3rd round, 4th round guy for me.
Yeah, I just don't see the sack numbers with this guy. 6'6", he's 290. I think the pass rush is more on athletic ability than it really is on.
Knowing how to get sacks,
how to get sacks, I'm struggling. I'm struggling with the two A&M kids because I was thinking everybody was telling me, "Oh man, these kids A&M, they rush, they do this, they do that." They're both kind of big guys, but they run down plays, and I just kind of feel like that they're not twitchy guys.
No,
you know, we talk about Pierce. Pierce is one of the twitchiest edges. From Tennessee that you're going to see.
Sure.
You know, one of the bigger, better rushers is is my favorite edge player is Carter from Penn State.
Fantastic.
That's my favorite edge player.
Mm-hmm.
So and it'll be interesting to see where Dallas gets on in the final order.
Yeah.
And if he is going to be a guy that's going to go ahead of them. I have a feeling he might be ahead of them or in that range where Dallas is going to pick.
I can at least look at Stewart and go, all right, I see why y'all like the big guy that can move, but I'm not I'm not projecting upside guy. I'm not good at projecting one's upside, so that's not my thing. But Scourton, I can at least see Scourton being strong sometimes, being like a rundown guy, or whatever. I can at least see that sometimes. Go ahead.
I saw some things with Stewart that he's raw as a pass rusher. I mentioned the power was good. I thought I saw a guy that lost the ball. Like you would see like he'd be fighting and doing it, and then like the ball would go by him and he never really reacted to it.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I'm just not Scourton. I think I would, of the two, I would take over. I kind of felt like that maybe if he got some work as a tackle, he might be even better playing that way. So we'll see what the league does with him.
So let me ask you this though, Bryan. Walter Nolan, the D tackle.
Wow.
From Ole Miss. Did you watch his?
There's another
A&M?
Yeah, it's another A&M kid that transferred to Ole Miss.
So cool. There you go. I see. It's easy to get ungrateful, right? When you watch all the other tackles we watched yesterday, they moving good, they flying all over the place, and they got great feet, good ball get off, and good power and strike. And you look at Walter Nolan, he look a little clumsy to you.
Yeah,
it kind of look like he falling all over the place. He doesn't really have the same burst that those other guys have. I do think that he's a strong player. I think he does play with a little bit of strength. And honestly, I think they're kind of playing him in the wrong spot. I wouldn't play him as like a 0.
He's more of a 3. I graded him as a 3, and I think you're right about him. And please go ahead.
I think 3-4 defensive end is perfect for him. Let him be a big 3-4 defensive end guy and let him punch and let him two-gap people. But if you count on him to move and penetrate and run around and chase somebody, man, he's going to run around the circle. He looks clumsy. He looks stiff. He looks like he got weird feet. He is strong, but I don't think – he's inconsistently strong too, Bryan. Like he'll punch and maybe somebody don't move, but later in the rush – that's when he'll get penetration. He get a lot of late movement stuff going, but nothing immediately. He's not a good point of attack guy, but he's a good driver afterwards once he decides to do it. But he's pretty inconsistent to me, and after I watch all the other tackles we watched yesterday, I got ungrateful as hell, and I just didn't enjoy watching Walter Nolan.
Yeah, he didn't have many pass first moves. You mentioned that, and he'll use his hands to try and push blockers around is what he do. I think he'll struggle to keep his balance at times.
It's clumsy. He's falling around.
I said the same. I like in the running game, he'll get knocked around some. You'll see him just like trying, everybody else is kind of getting to where they need, and he's kind of bouncing off guys and really not, maintaining his balance and getting over to the ball. And I do think he could get to the quarterback, but I think he'll struggle to finish. I think he can kind of get in the vicinity, but he just doesn't finish. The last line I said in my notes was I think needs more consistency overall. Yeah. So to me, I saw a guy that had a decent, I used the word decent job coming off the ball. I thought there were times where he appears quick and then others he's a little slower. So he's fast and then he's slow. Yeah. He's, the size is good. The upper body is good. The mass in the lower body is good. The strength is evident in the running game. The way he plays with his hands, he can impact the blocker with how he gets off the ball. The strength and all that's fine. But man, I mean, when he gets knocked around, he really gets knocked around. And that kind of drove me a little nuts for a guy that's 6'3", 305. And I was thinking, does this guy not play with very good balance? And the the more I watched, like say you watched LSU and Georgia in those games, he struggled a little bit in that area, and it wasn't I wasn't excited watching him as you mentioned as some of the other defensive tackles.
I agree. So we could just I don't want to say nothing bad
I'm
about
gonna
the kid,
I'm
man.
gonna let somebody else be a hero on Walter Nolan. How about that from Ole Miss?
But Bryan, let me say this. I brought this up 2 episodes ago, and I thought it'd be a fun exercise to do. We weren't going off of Dane's list, but at first we were going off of PFF's list.
Right.
I just wanted to let you know. And PFF list seems to make a little sense right now. But PFF has Walter Nolan as their 196th player.
Okay.
That make a little sense to me, Bryan.
196.
196, man. Put him down there over there somewhere, man. I don't. If I spent like a first, like 1, 2, or 3 on him, I wouldn't feel great about it. I wouldn't feel great.
Yeah, I for sure wouldn't spend a 1, and I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have spent a 2 on him either.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to see a bunch of other guys, and I guarantee you, the way he reads, the notes that we read on him are not going to be as good as other guys, and he's going to find himself getting dropped down.
Yeah. Bryan, you know, me and you were talking yesterday, man, and you know, we turned on the show today and we couldn't figure out my man's name and how to say it, but you were really excited about Shavon Revel, cornerback from East Carolina there. Tell us what you think about him, Bryan.
Yeah, I think this kid right here would have been one of the top cornerback prospects in the draft if he had not torn his ACL. I like him much better than I like Will Johnson, the Michigan cornerback. Will Johnson's a good player, don't get me wrong, but this kid, Revel, you know, I hope I say I'm going to learn. I know somebody on the
you said it right.
on the comments. Yeah,
I'm sure
you
said it right. I'm positive. You said it right.
The comments were like, "Oh no, it sounds like this and all that." So anyway, but we'll get it right. Trust me. But it's a really shame he didn't get an opportunity to play in 2024. I saw a post today on Twitter, X, whatever you have there, that he was declaring for the draft. So Dr. Cooper, the Cowboys team doctor, did the surgery for him. So the Cowboys are going to have everything they need to know about this ACL that he tore really, really early in practice. But this guy is a fiery competitor. He's got outstanding athletic ability. He's a fierce tackler. He's got physical traits. He will make some unreal physical plays along the goal line. I think he's a wrap-up tackler in every sense of the word. He was a junior college player at a place called Lewisburg in North Carolina, which is really crazy. Scouting most of my life, and I've never heard of that junior college. That's where the kid's from. But he uses his length extremely well. He'll disrupt routes. He has a really relaxed back pedal with the ability to break quickly out of it. You'll see him carry routes all over the field. He's got a burst. He's got quickness. He's going to give receivers problems with the way he plays. He's rarely out of position. He's quick to react to the ball. I thought he was really fluid when he was asked to flip and then run. He'll fight a receiver down the field. He was one of the top players in the country in 2023 when it came to knocking down balls, PBUs and stuff like that. He's outstanding when it comes to making contested catches. He plays the chip on his shoulder. He arrives to the ball with violence in mind. I love that about this kid. He can blow ball carriers up. He gets the top speed quickly and is able to chase from the ball down from behind. When he's in the box, he shows toughness to be able to play downhill. He has a nose for the ball. He's very interested. I'm very interested in where he ends up because I think he's one of the best defensive players. I know early that I've scouted here, very, very early in the process of, 30 some odd guys. But he's one of my favorite players to watch because of the violence that he plays with, the passion he plays with, his ability to cover, defend passes, play routes across the field. I absolutely love this kid, and it's a shame he hurt his ACL, or we'd be talking about him way, way, way up the board.
Tell you what, Bryan, I just want to take you on this journey that I went on.
Mm-hmm.
First game I watched was like App State.
Yeah.
And when people hear App State, they think that App State's a terrible team. App State's
They're
got
not.
they've
They're
got
not.
much better.
They play really good football in Boone, North Carolina. Yeah.
They've gotten much better than they once were. I was a little bored, man. I was a little bored watching the Bryan brothers. You know, so I was looking at them. And I was like, all right, cool, good size, good speed, good length, and all that kind of stuff. Great tackler. You already mentioned that. But they ran a lot of zone over there, Bryan brothers, and that kind of just took me out of it a little bit.
Sure.
But then I watched Florida Atlantic.
Mm-hmm.
They played a lot more man over there.
Mm-hmm.
I say, damn, boy. Then he started punching people at the line of scrimmage and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He started running around. He started making plays on the football. And I said, all right, that's a much better game. This is the big one for me, Bryan. I love when a terrible school got a draft prospect and they go play a team like Michigan. That's the game I watched, Bryan.
Yeah.
That's a damn good game. He looked right in place versus them Michigan guys. And
like he should have been at Ohio State.
And ECU got whooped. They got whooped that day.
They get crushed. Yeah.
Shavon Revel did not. he was in phase the entire day. Played a lot of zone in this game too, but I saw some man also. He had like 5 or 6 tackles. Very fearless, tough player. Bryan, great size on him. I already mentioned his length, but all that stuff really shows itself versus competition, because now those guys can run too. So when the Michigan guys start running, when our guy Roman Wilson and all them guys they start running all over the place, and he's around and he's making tacklers on those ball carriers and stuff like that, you go, all right, Shavon Revel. I thought he was a little better than Will Johnson. Just me personally.
Yeah, I know people love Will Johnson, and I think there's things about Will Johnson that the more you get to watch the Michigan tape, the more he could play a little boring at times too. You know, I mean, he could play boring. You could go back if you really want to and watch, Will Johnson, play against Marvin Harrison and others like that. There's films that are broken down in all that way, but I just think that Revel, there's so many things about his game, and he's, what we were talking about, maybe, he's 6'2" and he's 188 is what you're looking at right now. I mean, that is a good looking player.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at him and the way he moves and the way he explodes.
Sure.
And I hope he attacks his ACL rehab like he attacks the game. Yeah. I think he plays at a super high level. Mm-hmm. I really, really do like this kid a lot.
As a corner.
Yeah.
Shavon Revel, corner, ECU, or Travis Hunter as a corner from Colorado? Come on, Bryan, bro. Come on, man.
I know.
Come on, hey, man. This one. Not Travis Hunter, the overall prospect, because he can go play wide receiver.
No, I know he can play, yeah.
But just the corner, as a cornerback, is he a better corner than Travis Hunter is?
I'll tell you what, Travis Hunter is, for 185 pounds, he tackles, he could run, he's got ball skills.
Makes plays.
He makes plays. Hunter as a corner would be better. But, man, the temperament on both players, the willingness to tackle. Yeah. I need to go back and watch. Someone told me watch McMillan, Arizona wide receiver, versus Hunter last year.
McMillan beat the hell out of Travis Hunter. It was bad.
That's what I thought.
It was pretty bad.
Somebody told me to go back and watch that game. It's hard. Been that kid, Dallas picking early in the second round.
Yeah.
If the kid's rehab will be good. Dr. Cooper is one of the best in the league when it comes to fixing knees. If Dallas has a second round pick, early, which I think they will, and that kid's there, man, I would stand up on the table for him. Yeah. I would absolutely stand up on the table for this kid. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, he might go earlier than that. He might go somebody in the back end of the first. Like I say, it all really depends on the medical on this kid.
Yeah,
he's a hell of a football player. I take Travis Hunter, the corner, over this kid. But man, I love the physicality of both of them.
Yeah, I think if he didn't get hurt, he'll be a top 10 player for me.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. I do too.
Man, Bryan, good little day, man. Hey, look, man. Hey, look. I don't think nobody do it like us, man. So, just like we watched all them good tackles and then we had to go watch Walter Nolan, boys, somebody going to watch our show,
Walter
Bryan?
Nolan was like, I was having a good day at the plate, and then all of a sudden the reliever came in, and I caught 3 sliders that I couldn't handle.
Bryan, somebody going to watch our show, and they're going to try and watch some other draft coverage, and they're going to be ungrateful as hell. And they were like, damn, boy, this show is clunky because I just watched the Doing All Right podcast. This show is clumsy, and they falling all over. They all on the ground because I just got through watching the Doing All Right podcast. I appreciate Bryan. I'm glad to have you as a partner now, sir. Appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you, my friend. I really, really do. And, man, you keep me on my toes. I like the fact that, and I'm looking forward to working with you on the draft show. I think that's no secret that you're going to be taking Aisha Morrison's spot, and I'm going to miss Aisha. I love her. Like she's awesome. The way she scouts and the way she got better, bro. You're about to be thrown from the frying pan into the fire.
Y'all ass about to be thrown into the fire. So I hope y'all.
You better just keep bringing your game, bro. Keep bringing your opinions. Keep bringing your game. Because the draft show shows no mercy on you put it up on the table every time you do the draft show. You there's no hiding from that one.
I'm gonna find me a little draft patch. I'm gonna put that joint right on my Letterman jacket. I'm gonna put that shit right there. I'm gonna find me a little cowboy star with a draft show patch. I'm gonna put that shit right there on my Letterman jacket. Get on y'all ass about it, boy.
Hey, I'll remind you of this. This behind me.
You've done this before.
Voch, one time I did that.
I'm just a dude with a camera and a microphone, man.
I'm a dude with a camera and a microphone too. I love you, man. Hey,
likewise, indubitably.
I'll be done at 6:00 on Sunday.
Yes, sir.
So you and I could do a little Cowboy post game show if you're interested in doing that on Sunday.
We will indeed do a post game show. Cowboys got an early game, so that means we got a lot of work to do. All right, but hey, y'all tell us what y'all think about this. Go down in the comments. Bryan, nobody's responding to our invite or whatever. There's one character, boy, that was talking crazy for three episodes straight. Now we put the invite out. Now he just want to talk about draft. Like, yeah, man, I don't know about these players. You know what I'm saying? He don't want to fuss no more.
Well, thanks to everybody out there that does consume our show on a daily basis. I know there's people that I've seen in the comments that their notifications immediately dings and they go right to it. And we love you guys. We appreciate it. Voch and I have got some really big things in the future. We're really excited about it, that we've got support. And so he and I are going on to do some really cool things with some others. We've got some others in mind too, but I'm sure there'll be a big announcement here coming up pretty soon that we can share with everybody. And I'm really excited about that.
Also, there's some people in the chat that says, Voch, I know you and Bryan want to fuss and all that, but can y'all do a call-in show just for regular people that just want to talk to y'all and just have a Q&A?
We could do that. If nobody wants to fuss at us, we'll fuss back. We'll fuss it or just take a normal call-in show. That'd be fun too.
Yeah, one of these Tuesdays or something like that. I don't know. But
that's good.
We gonna let Bryan Broaddus get to his other job. We love y'all to pieces. Y'all follow me at VOCHLONBARDI, and y'all follow Bryan at BRY, and stop calling him Bryan or Brain Broaddus. BRY and Broaddus. All right, y'all hold it down, man. We love y'all to pieces. Till next time, Crown.